The headlines: Labour Minister calls for dialogue in airport dispute. ZR van full of students overturns in St. Lucie. And West Indies are accused of disgraceful conduct at the Under-19 World Cup. Welcome to Nation News for Tuesday, February the 2nd, 2016. The Minister of Labour has called for more dialogue between the NUPW and the airport authorities. The intervention by Senator Esther Bayer follows Friday's work stoppage by some workers at Grantley Adams International in a dispute over back pay. Dr. Bayer said she was not taking sides but simply monitoring from a distance. The National Union of Public Workers says its members at the airport are owed a 3.5% pay increase, but this has been disputed by airport management.
And I've heard the President and the General Secretary of the NUPW speak to this from their own perspectives. But as with all negotiations, all disputes, it's going to come down to discussion, and I believe that that is going to happen. I did hear Minister invite the others to have discussion and to negotiate, because that's where it's going to come down. Well, I don't think he said negotiate, he said discussions. But I think that's where it comes down to. It comes down to being able to talk and being understanding if there is indeed a difference of the interpretation of what has gone on before. Nothing happens before dialogue. Dialogue first.
A ZR van nearly full of students overturned in the morning at Bentham, St. Lucie. One student of Darrell Jordan Secondary and a conductor were taken to hospital. 15 other students with minor injuries were treated at the scene. It is claimed that the driver swerved to avoid an oncoming vehicle and hit an embankment before flipping over just after 9 o'clock. The onus for cracking down on excesses by ZR drivers has been placed squarely on the police by the Transport Minister, Michael Lashley. He said the road traffic laws were in place, but there was a need for greater enforcement. Mr. Lashley was speaking to taxi operators and drivers at the end of a training course at the community college last weekend. 47 people were awarded certificates for completing training in topics like defensive driving and effective communication. Minister of Education Ronald Jones has offered some advice to the parent of the child at the center of a well-publicized dispute at Spear Memorial School. Mr. Jones said the first priority should be about her education.
If part of your initial complaint was that the child was not being educated because of the 2 weeks or how many days it was in the beginning, not at school or not being educated, your first option, you can deal with the second option after, is to get that child into a classroom where productive learning should be taking place. That should be your first option, not these back and forth and going to the media. I mean, really, how does that educate the child?
The student has been out of school for several weeks after refusing to pick up a piece of litter when ordered to do so. The matter escalated to a dispute between the principal and the parent. Mr. Jones said no one should be allowed to undermine the school.
We cannot have what I call the undermining of the school's ethos by anybody, and by anybody I mean all those associated with schools. So you have parents, students, teachers, leaders, the community. You can't have the undermining of the school, because already many of the social organizations that make the society strong have been undermined. Now the school is on that front line of assault.
Customs brokers say they are hurting from high port fees. Their concern was raised at the annual general meeting of the Barbados Customs Brokers and Clerks Association. President Sandra Olton was particularly peeved by certain charges which accumulate even when the port is closed for long weekends. She said processing delays add to the problem. The fourth Barbados Best Employers program has been launched with a call for greater participation from big business, public sector agencies, and trade unions. The program is organized by Caribbean Catalyst, whose managing director, Rosalind Jackson, said it had been trying with little success to attract more of these entities. The program seeks to highlight exemplary human resource practices. The Nation Publishing Company is sponsor. CEO Anthony Shaw said there are several benefits to be derived from participating in the program.
I can confidently say that participating in the BBE program can and has raised the profile of many of the companies that were shortlisted as finalists and has made a contribution to their reputation and continued success. I would therefore like to encourage local organizations, whether small, medium or large, to sign up for Barbados Best Employers program, and we look forward to profiling this year's frontrunners in the pages of the Barbados Business Authority and showcasing the merits of exemplary workforce management to a wide Barbadian audience.
Up next is Hayden Gill with this week's commentary on the Child Maintenance Program.
If we believe children are the future, we need to do all we can to nurture them. For too long, there's been a problem with mothers being able to access child support funds left at the courts. It is unacceptable that a man can be allowed to run up a debt of $40,000 in child support. It is unacceptable that a delinquent father can get a slap on the wrist and go to Dodge with no real attempt to make them pay. Whether these funds are paid or not, children still have to eat, they need clothing and school supplies. It does not matter if the parents end on bad terms. Children should not be made to suffer for their folly. If the current system isn't working, find one that can.
In sport, the West Indies have made it to the quarterfinals of the Under-19 Cricket World Cup in very controversial circumstances. The team have endured a day of stinging criticism after a 17-year-old fast bowler Kimo Paul ran out a Zimbabwe batsman for backing up a little too far to give the Caribbean boys a narrow 2-run victory. The on-field umpires conferred before asking West Indies players whether they wanted to uphold the appeal against the so-called Mankat decision, which was within the rules of the game, though widely regarded as an unsporting method of dismissal. Once West Indies players confirmed they wanted to go ahead with the appeal, the television umpire was consulted and the batsman's bat was found to be just on the line. West Indies captain Shimron Hetmar said he was comfortable with the outcome, though the action was slammed by several present and former players of other countries. But he did admit that the dismissal was probably not in the spirit of the game. The University of the West Indies at Cave Hill has initialed an agreement with the W Connection, a pro football club of Trinidad and Tobago. UWI Principal Eudine Barbados said the agreement would expand opportunities for students.
This MOU opens up possibilities for our footballers who have proven their talent, because only last year they entered the Premier League and placed third overall, and Mr. Butcher assured me that right now they are top of the standings, and we are very pleased, and we expect you to do even better than last year. And I want to give you my word that if any of you, through this memorandum of understanding, were to be signed to play with a professional association in Trinidad and Tobago while you're a student athlete, that I will begin the process of negotiating your transfer to the St. Augustine campus so that your studies do not suffer.
And finally, a jury clerk's office in Mississippi has apologized to about 350 residents whose jury summonses contain an error sending them to a phone sex hotline. Jackson County Circuit Clerk Randy Carney said he found out about the error when a circuit judge alerted him to the issue. The summonses informed residents to call a phone number Monday to find out if they needed to show up for jury selection, but the erroneous number instead sent callers to a recorded message saying, "For hot girls, press 1, for hot guys, press 2. Have your choice." Hopefully, no one did that, said the clerk, who has dispatched a letter of apology. And that's Nation News for Tuesday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com as well as YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And remember to pick up your Midweek Nation on Wednesday or subscribe to our e-paper.